In Kano village lived a very beautiful girl, Adama. Her beauty rivaled only to the goddess of the land. Several suitors far and wide came to her village with the hope of winning her heart. But Adama's father had insisted that only the bravest man would have the chance to marry his daughter. All the men interested in her were to go through the most dangerous challenge to be able to win her for a wife. Several young men in the village lined up for the challenge, but after the second trial, many of the men turned back when the challenge was to head into the mystical forest of Kano village. The forest was said to be the abode of the gods, and anyone who ventured into it would never return alive. The challenge, however, was accepted by the community's bravest warriors, Onyango and Ogonji, who had been rivals since childhood. This time round, they would be rivals in love. The beating of the drums faded as the two ventured into the forbidden forest, the women and children holding their hearts in despair. The night was approaching fast after they had fought off several mystical creatures that lived in the forest. The test of their bravery, however, came about when several hyenas attacked them all at once. Ogonji was getting overwhelmed and decided to run towards Onyango's direction, who tore apart every hyena that came his way. His focus was on Adama, making him fierce and savage more than the wild beasts. Ogonji arrived next to him, panting heavily, as Onyango waded off a group of around 20 hyenas. "Onyango, my friend, I have to confess that I have failed. The hyenas have overwhelmed me. Please let us work together and get out of this God-forsaken place. I'll let go of my claim over Adama. You are the worthy man to marry her." Onyango, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, decided to give in to his request. That night alone, he slew more than 100 hyenas. By morning, the two were badly wounded. Onyango's wounds, however, were more severe. He was unable to walk, his leg already swollen from the poisonous bites of the wild creatures. "Ogonji, my friend, my injuries are grave, and I might not survive the forest. Please help me out of the forest. After that, I can find my way home." "You don't need to ask, Onyango. You saved my life today. I won't refuse such a small favor. But first, let me find some herbs to apply on your wounds," Ogonji said, and walked away, leaving Onyango leaning on a tree beside a running stream. Onyango waited and waited till the sun was almost fading out, but Ogonji hadn't returned. Onyango accepted the bitter truth that Ogonji had betrayed him. Slowly he picked himself up, but right that moment a fierce roar of a lion filled the air. Onyango felt his heart panic due to his bad state. He tried to hide on a tree by climbing up, but he fell right down due to his body that easily gave away. His scent had been caught by the lion, who immediately leapt his ran direction. Onyango was terrified in the face of such a giant lion, one he had never seen before. His claws were sharp that Onyango felt then already tearing into his skin. Onyango slowly got up, biting into his lips from the burning pain all over his body. Suddenly the thought of Adama in the hands of the treacherous Ogonji crossed his mind. He mastered all his strength and stared straight in the lion's eyes, challenging it to a fight. Onyango was confused when the lion seemed to retreat. In a split second, however, the lion had turned into an old man. "Do not be alarmed, my child. I am the guardian of the forest, and I must say that I never witnessed such bravery ever since I've been guarding this forest," the man said. Onyango was still taken aback, words not forming in his mouth. He sat back as he watched the man pick some herbs and apply it to his wounds. "You need to recover fast to claim your love." Onyango knew there were a lot of questions he needed answered, but his body gave away as he fell into a deep sleep. Back at the village, Ogonji had returned and was welcomed with triumphant war songs. He quickly explained the unfortunate events that occurred in the forest, which saw Onyango being marauded by lions. Onyango's mother and sisters broke in loud, heartbreaking wails. The elders, on the other hand, were left with disbelief. If anyone was to pass the test, then it had to be Onyango. Adama's father walked over and announced that his daughter would be given to Ogonji as promised. The preparation for the marriage ceremony, which would happen in 2 market days, began. Adama appeared cheerful, but deep down she felt let down. The man of her dreams had always been Onyango, a loving and dependable man in the village. Ogonji had always been termed as an arrogant man, and she feared for her marriage living with a man like him. "What can I do but accept him as my husband?" Adama said to her maids, who sympathized with her. Finally, the day of the marriage ceremony arrived. Several people had hoped Onyango would somehow show up, but he never appeared in 5 days, downing the hopes of everyone. The festivities began with a lot of beer taking among the men. The women prepared a lot of delicacies, while the little children ran around in happiness, thrilled by everything that was going on. At nightfall, when the final rituals were to be carried out, a woman's shriek filled the entire village. The men came out with their clubs when their eyes landed on the lion, a huge, fierce and hungry lion which seemed ready to devour anyone. The bravest men moved in a group in an attempt to drive off the animal, but its intimidating stand made then moved once. The lion suddenly leapt forward in a swift move and threw away the men, scratching them in the process. Several men lay on the ground, wounded, before it moved away to the other huts, terrorizing people. The marriage ceremony had to be stopped so that they could solve the problem. "Ogonji, my love, aren't you the bravest man in the village? Only you can save us now," Adama said. Adama's father, together with the leaders, concluded that the marriage had to be stopped, and whoever killed the lion would be the one to marry Adama. Ogonji got out of the hut, furious. The gods must have been against his union with Adam, because surely he couldn't fight the monstrous lion alone. He walked away, but cautious not to be spotted by the lion. For 2 nights the village was inhabitable. Everyone stayed indoors. In the evening, the sound of a flute playing caught the attention of everyone. One by one, they stepped out of their huts at the beautiful melody sang by none other than Onyango himself. To everyone's surprise, Onyango walked proudly with the head of a lion in his hand, his flute in his mouth. Everyone ran to him, bowing to the ground. He had saved everyone, and more importantly, he was alive. The elders came running to him, trying to find out what happened. Onyango explained everything about Ogonji's betrayal. However, the secret about the lion was a tale never to be revealed. The entire village was up against Ogonji, and he was publicly whipped before being sent away into the forbidden forest. Such a selfish and deceptive man did not deserve to live among the people. Adama didn't wait for her father's approval and threw herself to Onyango, becoming his bride. The greatest moral of the story: be the judge. Kindly subscribe to my channel for more content expertly crafted just like this.